Hey guys, it's Nick from the Game Boys here, and today we're going to do something a bit different. I'm going to show you a speedrun playthrough of one of my favorite games of all time, Sonic Adventure DX. We'll be playing through Sonic's story as it's the most entertaining in my opinion. It has the most glitches, the most unique techniques, and I thought you guys would enjoy this. Before we get started, I want to remind you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if you enjoyed this video. We appreciate all sorts of feedback. Without further ado, let's get the run started. So we're going to be playing through as Sonic like I said earlier. He's one of 6 characters. He has the most stages in the game, and his stages are the most fun in my opinion. We're going to be starting out in Station Square, fighting the first boss of the game, Chaos Zero. It's a pretty straightforward fight. He takes 3 hits. The third portion of the fight is somewhat RNG based, so the amount of times he moves depends on the RNG. I got intentionally hit there because it stops his cycle faster. And this is the portion of the boss fight that I mentioned that is RNG, the number of times he jumps off those poles. But luckily I got a pretty decent time here. Anything between 20 and 30 seconds is about average. Anything under 25 is really good. Now we're going to be going to the first stage of the run, Emerald Coast. It's a pretty straightforward stage for the most part, but it has a few skips. One thing I should mention in this game is spin dashing and jumping at certain parts is going to give me a tremendous amount of height. It's going to allow me to skip a lot of portions of stages such as this. So I could jump straight across to this bridge over here, to this jump pad. And just like that, we're going to be going into the well scene that you saw in a lot of commercials back in the day. It's pretty straightforward. You just hold forward in that portion. Next, we're going to go up this mountain because we want to skip a lot of springs because the springs take much longer than rolling up the hill. Anytime in this game you can avoid springs is always good because they are pretty slow. And right here we're going to pick up this extra life because there's portions in the run where I'm going to be doing some difficult skips, and it's important to have extra lives just in case so I don't hit a game over at any point in the run.
Jump on panel number 1. It will take you to panels 2 and 3. Jump as soon as you land on a panel or else you'll fall.
Coming up to the end of the stage now. I'm going to be skipping majority of all cutscenes in this run, just to save time. So after this cutscene, we're going to head over to the train station to go to the Mystic Ruins. And there we'll fight the second boss of the game, Egg Hornet.
The train headed for the Mystic Ruins will be departing soon.
One thing I should mention about this game is it originally came out in the late 90s, and 3D platformers at the time didn't have great cameras, so you're going to notice the camera tries to fight me a lot in this run and makes it very difficult sometimes. So this is Egg Hornet. He's a pretty simple boss. He's going to shoot these missiles that are very easy to avoid. And then his second portion is he's going to come at me with some drills, but I'll be able to defeat him in one cycle because you could just mash the homing attack button, and just like that, the fight's over.
Hey, I'll play with you some other time.
Next, we're going to go head towards the second stage in the run. First, we got to pick up this green key. Picking up items in this game is kind of hard. For some reason, you have to come to a dead stop. Otherwise, you might run past it because the grab button and the speed dash button are exactly the same. So it's kind of difficult sometimes. So here we are, Windy Valley, the second stage. The first portion is pretty straightforward. So that was a portion that I discovered recently where you could skip some of this, but it could potentially waste a lot of lives, and I decided here that I wanted to skip that just so I could build up my life count by going up this bridge and getting this extra life before going into the tornado. So you might have noticed that I switched to auto camera instead of free camera. That's because in certain portions of the run, there's a lot of scripted scenes such as this, like the tornado, and it makes it easier to be in auto cam during this time, because otherwise the camera can get out of control and make it very difficult to maneuver through the level. And we're going to switch back to free camera because there's a lot of the portion here, a lot of the portion of the stages that we could skip. The whole stage is actually rendered, and if you fall down at certain spots, you could fall towards the end of the stage. Something I'm going to mention is the collision detection in this game isn't the greatest, and a part of that is to do with the fact that the game has been ported so many times pretty badly. It originally came out on the Dreamcast, like I said earlier, but then was ported to the GameCube, to the Xbox 360 and PS3, and then finally to Steam. And throughout the time of them porting this game, the collision detection just got worse and worse, which actually makes for a good speedrun. So we're coming up to one of the skips in this level. We're going to jump off the bridge, and we're going to try to hit some jump pads right here. And once we hit those, it's going to take us to the end of the stage.
Yes! Yeah, not bad.
So now we're going to try to head back to Station Square. And we're going to get this light speed shoes, because we need those for a later part of the run, as well as getting into the casino. There's ways to get into the casino early and without the shoes, but for the run, I just usually do the speed shoes tactic just because it's more consistent. So we're going to go into the sewers here. We're going to get the shoes. And this will allow me to skip a trail of rings and fly through the air, such as this.
Ready, go!
And you might have noticed that charge time takes quite a while. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go get the crystal ring, and that's going to reduce the time of the charge significantly. It also increases the maximum speed of Sonic, so that's always good to get in a run.
Ready, go!
And now that we have that, we're gonna make our way towards the casino. And for a long time, I disliked the casino level because originally it took me quite a while to get through. The stage requires you to get about 400 rings by playing pinball games, and it's just a very long and tedious stage. But I recently figured out how to do a certain skip, because the collision detection, like I said, isn't the greatest. I could just jump through this wall, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to jump on the bottom of the stage, but I want to avoid certain kill planes and jump through and get propped up just like that. It saves a significant amount of time, and it's pretty difficult, but once you practice it for a while, it's pretty easy. So now we're gonna head back to the Mystic Ruins after we grab this ice key and make our way to the fourth stage, Ice Cap.
The train headed for the Mystic Ruins will be departing soon.
Now, Ice Cap is a pretty interesting level because there's a small skip and then there's a large skip. I'm going to be showing the large skip because the small skip, it's a little bit more risky and it could potentially waste some of my lives. So most of the time in a run, I'll avoid it because I prioritize the lives over the speed sometimes. So we're gonna make our way up this ladder. And then the stage begins, Ice Cap. I'm gonna speed dash up this hill to get to a certain point where I could get momentum and jump into this tunnel. That saves quite a bit of time. Always want to hit the checkpoints. I'm gonna use this little hill as a way to get up here. And the smaller skip I was talking about is I could actually go through this gate that's opening. I could get through without doing what I just did. And it would save some time, but it could potentially knock me down to the bottom where I'd have to restart many times. So this skip is where I'm gonna go through the wall. It's just gonna make me fall through the wall and fall to the end of the stage. It saves a significant amount of time because it skips the snowboard section, which takes roughly somewhere between a minute 15 to a minute 30, possibly. So right now, it might not look like anything's going on, but I'm actually falling to the end of the stage. This is kind of similar to the second stage that we did, Windy Valley, where the whole stage is rendered at once, but you have to fall down to the end of the stage to see what's going on. So as you can see, you can start to see the stage forming beneath us. And it's kind of hard to see where you're going sometimes because of the fog. If you do this right, you could actually end up at the very end of the stage. And sometimes, unfortunately, you can miss the stage entirely.
No!
So I hit a kill plan there because I missed the stage, and after falling through the wall, I went the wrong way. So in here, instead of restarting, I decided to restart the whole level because if I restarted from there, it would have me go through the snowboard level of the snowboard section directly. So it's just faster to go through from the beginning and try that once more. So I'm gonna be doing the same thing, trying to get up here. Just to open the door to get to the next section.
Use the panel to jump. It may even help guide your way.
So once again, we're going to be falling for a while and try to land towards the end of the stage. And for some reason, the in-game timer stops whenever you do this glitch. I'm not sure why, but... So it looks like we're gonna make it this time. We didn't land exactly in a good spot, but it's better than not making it. It saves quite a bit of time because we skipped the snowboarding section. You'd be going down this path if you were using the snowboarding section. That's why you see ramps all over the place. This area is kind of difficult to maintain speed because of all the hills. But that's the level. We came to an end.
Yeah, not bad.
So next up is going to be one of the fights with some of the characters you get to play in the game. We're going to be fighting Knuckles. It's a pretty straightforward and easy fight.
The train headed for Station Square will be departing.
He takes 3 hits and is very easy. So pretty much anytime his invincibility frames end, you want to go in and try to attack him. And just like that, the fight's over. So next we're going to be fighting the most annoying boss in the game, Chaos 4. He is the most RNG heavy boss in the game because certain moves add a lot of time to the fight, and to avoid him doing certain moves, we want to stay a great distance away from him and stay in the air, but we also want to stay a certain distance where we could get to him fast enough to hit him once he comes up. Normally this fight lasts somewhere between 1:40 and 1:50. The worst move he could do is he could turn into 4 separate balls, and it wastes the most time, so we want to avoid that. He has about 2 hits left. And I have an audio cue, like when he's about to come up. You could tell because you can't hear him swimming much anymore. And about 2 seconds after that, he comes up, so that's when I know to go in. So the last hit is always the longest. Whenever he knocks over the lily pads, it's actually the best scenario because that move wastes the least amount of time. And the fight is over. So 1:45 is about normal. Not a good, not a bad fight, but it could have been better because I got stuck on a lot of lily pads. So now we're going to come to a part of the run that's very different. We're going to be going into Sky Chase Act 1. And it's, for what it is, it's kind of fun, but I consider it more of an auto-scroller just because if you hold the plane to the top right, you could actually avoid everything, so nothing's going to hit me for the most part. So now we're coming to an end of Sky Chase Act 1. And what's going to happen is Eggman's going to shoot a laser at our plane with the egg carrier. And it's going to hit us and we're going to fall down. So we're back in Station Square now. We got to go to the casino area because we have to get us cutscene to play.
Sonic, wait up!
And now we're going to make our way to the next stage, Twinkle Park. Twinkle Park's one of my favorite stages because it has a lot of fun aspects to it. The first portion, you start in kind of a go-kart, and you go through kind of a racetrack. So right here, I'm going to take this hit intentionally because if not, that guy will follow you throughout the whole track. So what I'm going to do now is collect a lot of rings because for every 10 rings, your max speed increases. And if you have 20 to 40 rings, you could do this thing right here called track skip. So I'm going to skip a portion of the track, and that saves about 10 seconds or so. And on this stage, I'm going to be stockpiling a lot of lives because of the fact that I'm collecting so many rings, and there's a lot of one-up boxes here. The route I'm going to be taking in this run is actually the second fastest way to get to the stage. The fastest way is much faster, about 30 seconds, but it's not as consistent and it's quite difficult because coming up there's going to be a roller coaster section. You can skip that section entirely. But what you do is you jump out of this tower and you get below the castle. But when you jump out of the tower, the camera makes it very difficult to see where you're going. And to get up to the castle is quite difficult, but this way is quite fast too. What we're going to do is we're going to come up to this little ramp and use it to get momentum up to jump much higher. This skips a big portion, such as the bowling part and going through a majority of the stage. So I'm going to go over here and hit this checkpoint just in case I fall. I could get that 1-up box, but at this point I have 7 lives and that's pretty good. And just like that, the stage is over.
Yes. Yeah, not bad.
If I would have done the bigger skip, it probably would have got me a 130 or so, but
Welcome to Twinkle
it's very
Park.
difficult, so sometimes you want to go for consistency in a run. So coming up, getting this card's very difficult for some reason. It's between these 2 trees and this pole, so you have to come to a complete stop. And now we're going to go to Speed Highway. We want to use auto cam here because it makes one of the bigger skips much easier. We're going to jump over to this skyscraper. And there's an extra life off here we want to get. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump across this gap. And we're going to skip the majority of the stage. So coming up, we're going to jump over this right here. And we're going to try to land on this building. And jump over this once again to get to this rocket. And just like that, we're in the second part of the stage. I'm going to be staying on the right side of this portion because if you stay on the right side, you can actually just go through all of the barriers and they won't stop you. I'm not sure why that is, but it's the fastest way to get through this part. Now we're going to be coming up to the final portion of the stage. We're going to use this little ramp to get momentum up and do the same thing on this roof. What we're doing is we're aiming for the water fountain to push us up to the end capsule.
Yes. Yeah, not bad.
Anything under a minute and a half is good here. So 120 is pretty good. Considering I got the big skip in the beginning, that's a good sign. So we're gonna make our way back to the casino portion because we have to play another cutscene.
Amy? Oh man, where can she...
And now we're gonna make our way back to the Mystic Ruins.
Let me go, you hunk of
So we're gonna be getting another upgrade here, the last one for Sonic. It's gonna allow us to charge up our spin dash and do an attack that I'm gonna use twice. Once to destroy this monkey to open the gate, and then at a later point I'll use it to defeat a boss. So without this monkey being destroyed, the gate won't open, but once you destroy the monkey, you can get into stage 7, Red Mountain. This is a pretty fun stage. I use autocam here because it makes things easier. Coming up is a pretty large skip. There's a couple ways to do it. The method I'll be using is the safer route because it's much less risky. So if I use these rocks to the right of me, I could have jumped across a big gap, but I'm gonna go up here and give me more height to get across. And I missed it that time. Didn't get it that quite. Didn't get it that time either. This is still much faster than going through the regular route. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reach this rock over here, and now I'm going to spin dash again, and just like that, we're in Act 2 of the stage. Now, this portion of the stage is pretty fun because there's a large skip coming up too. What I was trying to do here is get to the second portion over here, and I'm gonna try to get it to elevate and jump up to these rocks. And once I'm up here, I can use that to jump up to the end portion of the stage. Getting through these can be tricky sometimes if you don't jump in the right time. And just like that, we are at the end of the stage. You're gonna hit the capsule. And coming up is another Sky Chase, and it's Sky Chase Act 2. It's kind of an auto-scroller like before. You can hold to the top right and it kind of plays itself. The difference about this one though is it's much longer and there's a boss at the end. So the boss is quite easy, but you guys will see soon what I mean. So we're coming up to the boss now. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be shooting the center of his cannon once it opens, and his health just drains pretty fast. And just like that, the fight's over. Now we're going to be getting onto the egg carrier, which is the third adventure field in the stage, in the game.
Wow, this thing is really huge.
And now
Don't get too many ideas.
there's going to be an unskippable cutscene that plays. It's one of maybe 2 or 3 in the run. For some reason, they don't let you skip this portion.
Oh, wow! It's changed shape.
This must be the way to the sky deck.
And now we're going to get into what is definitely my least favorite stage, Sky Deck. There's some pretty big skips here too, but it's kind of a hard stage to maneuver. The whole stage has bottomless pits, so if you fall, you lose a life. I have quite a bit of lives, so I'm okay here, but it's not a very fun stage. Coming up is one of the bigger skips in the level. It skips pretty much half of this section of the stage. What I'm going to be trying to do is going over to this pillar and scaling it. I'm going to try to get enough height and be in the right position to jump on a small platform. That way I could spin dash and jump across a big gap. Trying to land on this platform right here, and I'm gonna try to jump across. Didn't quite make it that time. What I'm trying to do is I'm gonna try to jump across and go to this area where there's a cannon, and I have to shoot a rocket into the cannon. Sometimes this trick can be quite difficult because you have to be in the right area. It'll be falling just enough where you could hit the platform because it's quite small. And if you don't get it, it takes quite a bit of time just because you have to scale the pillar once more. So at this point, I could have probably completed this section normally, but I wanted to show you guys some of the skips, and even though it took me a while, I think it's worth because it shows you some of the more unique ways to play this game. So we're going to shoot this rocket into the cannon, and the next portion of the stage is going to load. This portion of the stage is kind of difficult because you want to avoid homing attacking, because you could actually go into these cannons and it could slow you down quite a bit. And there's also a wind factor here that could push you away and have you fly off the ship, so I want to be careful there. This next portion, I'm going to be trying to race across this, and as I'm trying to go through it, the platforms start to fall, and if I don't make it in time, I can't get back up and I'm going to have to restart. And unfortunately I didn't make it there. So I'm going to try again. It's kind of hard sometimes because these planes can kind of get in your way and slow your momentum, so it's better sometimes just go on this left side and get through that portion. Now, this cannon that comes out runs on a cycle, and you want to try to get first cycle. What I'm trying to do here is shoot a rocket into its cannon, similar to the one I did earlier, except this rocket actively tries to avoid you. So I got it that time, and we're in the final portion of the stage. And something that's unique about this part is, depending on where you are in the stage, the ship changes gravity. So if I'm in the very back, it's gonna make me fall backwards. But what I'm gonna try to do here is trick the stage into thinking I'm in the back, so I can get to the end of the stage much quicker. So if you notice, while I'm going through this tunnel, the stage is going to try to tilt back, and if you get it just right, you could hit the capsule there without even hitting this button right here. But unfortunately I didn't get that time, so I'm going to have to hit this button to fix the gravity, and I'll be able to finish the stage now. This wasn't a really good time at all for this stage, but at this far into at this point in the run, and when you're this far into the run, you just want to get through the stage and not restart. Now coming up is another boss fight with one of the heroes you play in this game, Gamma. It's very similar to the Knuckles fight where he has 3 hits and you want to attack him once his invincibility frames go away. Really simple fight. So next, we're going to try to change the egg carrier back to its original shape. It's good to have auto cam on here because without it, the camera kind of glitches out.
The switch to transform the egg carrier is somewhere in this room.
And here's the other unskippable cutscene in the game. The ship transforming.
Emergency alert has been cancelled.
And now we're going to be coming up to the next boss, Chaos 6. Now, I mentioned earlier that I gained the ability to charge up and use an attack with my spin dash, and that's what I'm going to be trying to use here, because if you use it on him while he's frozen, it does double damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these robots, pick them up and throw at him to freeze him. I'm going to use a charge, and now his health is in half. The ideal situation is that I'll get 2 of these and make the boss fight very quick. Sometimes picking up things can be very difficult, like I said earlier, and the placement of the robots can get in the way. But luckily, I got him there. And now that I missed the charge, I'm just going to go for a regular hit because he already has 1 hit anyway.
Hey, I'll play with you some other time.
That wasn't a very good boss fight there, but I could have died and had to restart, so it could have been worse. We're going to head back to the Mystic Ruins now, where we're going to go to one of my favorite levels in the game, Lost World. This used to be a level that I didn't really like because it was it's quite long. If you don't know the skips, it's probably like a 4 to 5 minute level. But because of the skips I learned about, I could beat the level in about 2 minutes or so. So this portion right here is the most RNG heavy in the game. These pillars that come out, they're completely random and there's no way to predict what they're gonna do. What I try to do is I try to spin dash and jump in the air and float so I could see what's coming in front of me. So now we're gonna go to the biggest skip in the game, and this is gonna be snake room skip. What I'm gonna do is spin dash over to the snake and try to get propped up like this. Now I'm gonna use a pause buffer to get through this door. And just like that, we're through the door without even having to hit switches. Because normally you have to hit 3 switches in order for that door to open. But with the snake skip and the pause buffer, you can get through it pretty quickly. This room is kind of difficult sometimes. You got to be careful because everything around you is a bottomless pit. Sometimes I land on the lights, which slows your momentum down greatly. But sometimes you could do it to kind of keep a safe route. So I could charge and use my light speed dash there to get across those rings, but it's easier just to spin dash and jump across them. Coming up is going to be a portion when I run away from a rock. This portion's pretty similar to the scene in Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Generations when you're running away from the diesel truck, except this portion is actually dangerous because the ball can rubber band if you're going too fast, so you don't want to spin dash here, otherwise you'll fall. So now I want to make sure I hit this checkpoint because if I mess up, I could restart quickly. And I'm gonna try to hit this. I'm gonna hit this button 3 times so I can get on these gravity pads, and I'll be able to walk up them. And I'm gonna use their gravity to get up to a higher portion of the stage and jump towards the end of the stage. And just like that, the stage is over.
Bad.
So now we're going to go to the past. This is part of the story, but we're just going to skip the cutscene because we're trying to get through this run pretty fast. And we're back to the Mystic Ruins. And now coming up, we're going to enter the last stage of the run. First, to get into the stage, what you got to do is you got to solve a puzzle over here. I go to auto cam because it's easier to see what's going on with the puzzle. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get all of the buttons the same yellow color. And I got it, and we're going to enter the final stage of the game, Final Egg. This level has some pretty cool and unique glitches that I'll be showing off. It's kind of similar to the ice cap one I did earlier when I jumped through a void and fall to the ground, except this time I'm going to be trying to aim towards the end of the stage. This section with the conveyor belts can be kind of tricky, and the cylinders are also dangerous because they're easy to clip through, so you got to be careful. Now coming up is kind of oversight that the programmers of this game didn't really think of. You can just go behind the spawn point and fall to another portion of the stage, which saves a lot of time. I actually missed it that time, but I'm going to attempt it again and do the same thing. This saves quite a bit of time right here. And I'm going to hit this checkpoint. And now I'm going to do an elevator skip. It saves quite a bit of time since I have a lot of lives. And it loads the next portion of the zone and skips about half of the time of the elevator descendants. So now coming up is the largest skip of the stage. What I'm going to do is get on this elevator and try to jump into the void. And my goal is to get to the end of the stage. Looks like I didn't get it this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to restart. And I'm going to try it once more. And while I'm doing this, I do kind of a count where I count to 5. once I'm through the wall. So once I get past the wall, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I turn right for 2 seconds, and then I land at the end of the stage. There's a way to make it where you remove the fog and it's easier to see, but I'm not sure how to get that mod, but once you get the counting down, it becomes pretty easy. So now we're going to be fighting the final boss of this run, Egg Viper. It's not a hard run, hard boss fight by any means, but there's certain moves that he could do that could knock you off the stage. Most of this fight is just walking around his fire. So there's a way to attack him faster once he is vulnerable, but it's quite risky because if you miss him, you could fall and have to restart the fight.
See if you can make it through here.
So right here, I go pretty slow because at this point in the run, the final boss, you generally try to take it safe just because the run's coming to a close.
Get a load at this.
And pretty soon after this hit, I believe, he's going to start a different cycle.
See if you can make it through here, Sonic.
Now instead of after this move, instead of doing the one where he shoots a laser directly at you, he's going to be coming towards you a different way, such as this. And it's pretty easy to dodge. You just move left and right, and he can't hit you.
See if you can make it through here, Sonic.
So he's coming down to his last few hits, and he's going to change the way he attacks once more. He's going to destroy... Actually, he's going to throw this disc at me, and once you're up on the platform and close to him, you can hit his hitbox. Now he's going to destroy the second half of the stage and destroy the first platform on this side. And it just repeats until the end of the fight. So we're going to jump up here and be able to hit his hitbox. So now he has one more hit. He's going to do the same thing, destroy one platform over here. And once I hit him the last time, he's going to do a move where he tries to kind of do like a self-destruct thing. But if you stand still on the platform,
Watch out! He's up to something.
it doesn't do much, so. But if you're moving during this portion, it can kill you and you have to restart the fight. And as you can see, 2 minutes and 49 seconds is quite a long fight, so. But I got a time of 46:52, and I'm pretty happy with that. It's not my best run, but it's a very good run, and it shows you guys the major skips and glitches in the game. So if you like this run and you like this kind of content, let us know, guys. Give us a like, tell your friends about us, give us a comment, tell us what you liked and what you disliked, and remember to subscribe to the Game Boys. Thanks for watching, guys.